7.1.6 Parallel and Perpendicular Slopes. By the end of the lesson, I will be able to continue your learning journey with slope. Alright, some vocabulary for you to write down. Parallel lines are two lines that will never cross or intersect with each other, so please draw these examples as well. Perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect each other and create a 90-degree angle. And we usually symbolize it with this little 90-degree square. And so you can draw both examples there too. In today's lesson, I'm going to show you how you can look at the slopes of two equations and decide whether or not they're going to be parallel or perpendicular lines. Alright, so if one line is parallel to another, it must have the same slope. So for example, y equals 1/4 x plus 5 and y equals 1/4 x plus 2. Just by looking at these slopes, I can tell that these two are going to be parallel lines. Let's try it as an example. So I'm going to graph first y equals 1/4 x plus 5. I look and my y-intercept is 5, so I'm going to start there. And from there, I'm going to go up 1 over 4. Up 1 over 4. And now I'm going to draw my blue line. I'm going to start at 2. I'm going to go up 1 over 4, up 1 over 4. Now when I draw my lines through to connect my dots, I can see that the line, both the red and the blue line, will never cross each other. They both go up and over by the same amount every time, and there's always going to be that gap, that same amount of a gap between the lines. They will never intersect. And so again, when I look at the slope, because they're the same slope, I can, no matter where they start, I can tell that they are going to be parallel lines. So now if a line is perpendicular to another line, their slopes will be the opposite reciprocal slope. So for example, if my slope was 1/2, the opposite of of positive 1/2 would be negative 1/2. So that's the first step. So change it to the opposite. If it's positive, turn it negative. If it's negative, turn it positive. And then find the opposite reciprocal. So reciprocal is where you flip it. You flip the numerator goes on to the denominator, and the denominator goes to the numerator. So the reciprocal of 1 over 2, or sorry, negative 1 over 2 is negative 2 over 1. So that would be our opposite reciprocal. So then the slope of the first line is 1/2, and then the slope of the perpendicular line is negative 2. So for example, again, our y equals 1/3 x, so that's the slope of the first line, and then plus 2, and then y equals negative 3. So the opposite would be negative 1/3, reciprocal negative 3x plus 9. Let's try an example. I'm going to start by graphing the first red line, and I start with my y-intercept, which is 2. From there, I'm going to go up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3, and so on. And now I'm going to graph my blue line. Remember, if these two are truly perpendicular lines, they will create a 90-degree angle when they intersect. So I'm going to start at my y-intercept, which is 9, and I'm going to go down 3 over 1. Then I drew lines to connect the dots, and I'm going to test it out to make sure that this is a right angle using this right angle box, and see when they intersect right at the point of intersection, they create a 90-degree angle, which means that these two equations, these two lines are perpendicular lines. Remember, the lines are parallel if the slopes are the exact same, and two lines are perpendicular if the slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other.